What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Pendergast podcast on this beautiful Monday afternoon. It's an absolute honor to sit down with my man, Matthew Patacca. Yes, I did not mess that up. Let's freaking go. Look, I didn't ask him like 3 times before we went live, actually. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor to have him on the show today. We have a lot to talk about, but as you guys know, this episode is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Take control of your financial future. Get your complimentary financial analysis today by Seth Starnes. And Matthew, I tell everybody, don't spend your hard-earned money on an off-the-rack suit, because if you have an off-the-rack suit, it's not going to fit you correctly, right? And especially if it's tight in your arms, it causes arm pumps. If it's too big in the back, you're going down the front straightaway, you're as tuck as you can. It's like a parachute, and it starts choking you. It's just not a good thing, right? You guys already know I'm a Bison ambassador. I freaking love Robert and Tasha, Edith and Carter. They're some of the most amazing people you're ever going to meet. Matthew, you're not in Bison, are you?
No. Got envy.
And listen, Darwin's absolutely proper mega. I love Darwin to death. So basically what I'm saying is you're not going to go wrong whether you're in a Bison suit or an Envy suit or whatever. Get you a custom suit. It's 2025, people. Love yourself. Treat yourself. Take that off-the-rack suit, give it to your buddy that don't have one, or make a cool purse or a backpack and give it to your mom or your dad or your wife, right? or your kid.
I don't know if I'd cut up an expensive suit, but yeah.
True, but how cool would it be?
It would be pretty cool.
Right? You'd be like, where'd you get that backpack? Oh, it's exclusive. This is a damn easy $4,000 air suit. Off the rack.
It's got an airbag in it too.
It's got an airbag in it, right? So listen, if you have it in a car and you get in a wreck, you got an airbag in the car and you got an airbag in your purse or your backpack, right? So yeah, let's go. But Matthew, man, listen, it's an absolute honor to have you on the podcast today, man.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here.
It's listen, but we got a lot to talk about. I love everybody's journey into our sport. That's what makes us unique. Not everybody's got the same path. We end up at the same place. So tell us your humble beginnings in your journey.
Yeah, I mean, I started riding bikes. I was probably 12, 13, dirt bikes. Wasn't super good at it, but I always enjoyed it. And then my dad made a deal with me. If we stopped going to the motocross track, he'd get me a street bike when I turned 16. And I got my license, I think a week after I got my driver's license. And I got ahead of street bike right away.
I love it, man. Yeah. It's my dad didn't make me that. He wanted to get me a dirt bike. My mom was the one that was like, absolutely not. And she used the excuse that my dad was a fighter pilot in the Navy. He moved all the time. And it was something else that, she had to take care of. Right. So,
yeah. I think that was his deal, was to get stop going to the track on the weekends and burning his whole weekend up watching me putt around a motocross track. So I wasn't very good at racing when I was a kid.
Nobody is when we start out, right? But it's that love for it that, man. So Matt, we can absolutely everybody agree on this. The first time you threw a leg around a motorcycle, you'll never forget it. The first time you drag your knee, you'll never forget it. I always say dragging my elbow. When I drag my elbow, my shoulder, my hips, and all that usually follow right behind it, right? So, lining up for the grid the first time, your first proper track day, your first school you took to get your license, you'll never forget these moments. Those are the moments and you hear me say it all the time, motorcycles pick you. We don't pick motorcycle. Like, we don't choose it. It's they make us feel and move us in ways that, nothing ever has to this day. Right. We try to seek alternative ways when we go long sessions in between track days, try to fill that void somehow watching road racing, but nothing really ever fills that void to be satisfied, right? The closest thing I've done was skydiving. That's the closest thing I ever did to.
I haven't done that. I'm not super interested in that either.
You should. Another buddy of mine said that. I was like, bro, we got to go, right? But that's how I come with my fear of heights.
I
skydiving.
don't jump off of perfectly good working motorcycles, and I'm not jumping out of perfectly good working planes.
I see your point. I was the same way, so I can't confirm nor deny the allegations, right? So yeah, I'm with you on that. So you started out late in the dirt, got a street bike. Obviously, we're all at some point. I don't like the word squid, but squid on the street. We think, oh, we know everything. We have a favorite route we take. We're just, oh, I beat you to the top, yada yada yada, running from the police. We know the deal. I look back on it, Matt, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm still alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And then we get introduced to track days. For me, I was in Phoenix, Arizona, went to MMI, Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. Of course, I'm with a bunch of motorcycle people. They're like, dude, let's go to the track. I'm like, sign me up. Where do I sign up? How do we do it? Right. This is before the internet and all that stuff. So, how did you get introduced to track days and where'd that take you from there?
Um, so on I think it was my 21st birthday, my dad bought me a novice day at Jennings. So it's like a novices only track day. There was probably 10 of us, and it was not one-on-one coaching, but pretty small group coaching. I don't remember anybody's name that was there, um, but that was the first time I went to the track was at Jennings, and I feel like that day was nice because I can imagine for people that have never been before, it's got to be terrifying going to the track the first time. So to know that everybody there is a beginner, and and that I would have help was very helpful. I still remember something. I don't remember the guy's name, but I remember him telling me, and I still hold this to this day, is that he would say, if you don't think you're gonna make it through a turn, just stick it in there. And he's like, the worst that could happen is you low side, and that's a better way to fall. So I still think that to this day when I'm going in a turn and panicking, like, oh shit, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this one. And I'm like, well, just throw it in there. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You tuck the front, you fall down. So
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
I that goes through my head still to this day. In the middle of a race, where it's just like, well, running off is not an option. So just throw it in there. Um, so that was my first track day, and for oh man, almost I would say for probably almost or at least a decade, it was just go once a year, twice a year, maybe miss a couple years. I just didn't have the money or the bikes to really throw uh, a commitment into it. Um, and it was kind of like that until 2020 is when I did my Ed Bargy class, and that's where I met a great friend, like a family member of mine, Jamie Starace. I met him at Ed's. He was an instructor at Ed's school, and we hit it off, became friends pretty instantly, and he has led me into racing where I didn't think I was going to go. I thought I was just going to do a race just to say that I had done one, and I could just tell everybody at bike nights that I've done a race before. And he led me down a road I didn't think I was getting to, in a good way. It's been awesome. Uh, I think the results helped too. I mean, I podiumed my first weekend as an amateur, and I think that helped as well. Where it was like, oh, okay, I might be pretty good at this. Um, so yeah, that was kind of how track days and racing started.
I love it, man. It's again, it's something you never forget. Lining up first track day, have no idea what you're doing, no
Yeah,
idea what, dude. Like, there's this is something that like our local dealerships. Like, I'm gonna start going around to our local dealerships and have a talk to the manager, the general manager, the guy that owns the place. Say, hey, we need to have signs up talking about if somebody buys a bike. We need to introduce track days, who to get in contact with, have some manuals out, proper. Hey, this is what you need to have: safety wire for ASRA, CCS wear, whatever it is, to give
yeah,
people the heads up, a way in. It's when we started, we didn't have that. It was by word of mouth and people you knew along the chain. Hey, I know a guy that races or does track days. Let me call him up. Hey, how do we do this? Oh yeah, you go down to Firebird International Raceways for me. You go to here, you sign up, you
Yeah.
pay X amount of money. You can't crash your first day. You get your race license. You put an orange T-shirt on. Yada yada yada. The whole nine. Right. This needs to be safe to wire and that. Speaking of, I found my very first road racing license in
Oh,
1999 when I
nice.
was cleaning out my stuff. Yeah, dude. I'm proud. I was like, I can't find none of my other ones, but I do have my very first.
I've every year mine get renewed. I throw them in the same place. Um, it's like this stash I have. I've got movie tickets from when me and my wife met in high school. What is that, like 2005? So I've got them like in this little stash spot that I throw stuff that I'm like I can't lose this. So that my racing licenses are in there. Maybe in 30 years I'll be able to bust it out and show somebody.
I wish I'd have done that, right? I wish I'd have
Yeah,
done it. We got a good buddy of mine, Kyle McGill. He says we advertise track days at Coleman Spire Sports. I know you do, Kyle, and proper mega to you, man. It would think about how much easier it would be if every dealership had that. Whether you was going in and buying a freaking Honda Grom. Hey, you
yeah,
ever wanted to do a track day? You ever wanted to ride on
yeah.
a track?
I mean,
Check it out.
Weira
Yeah,
has a racing class for Honda Grom, so
which is
yeah,
absolutely amazing, right? It's
yeah,
I love it, man. I love it. It's it would make it easier and again help our sport grow. So yeah, I was just
yeah.
like,
There is a huge barrier to entry for track days as far as price and um, a lot of people at the track are willing to help out more than people think. If you come in there looking wide-eyed, like you don't know where you're at, people are usually willing to help. But yeah, it's a lot. I mean, just to get in, you gotta get a suit, and gloves, and helmet, and boots, and you gotta have the bike. You gotta have a canopy, a way to get it there. It is tough.
a
I understand.
generator, front, rear stands, tire
Yeah,
warmers. Hey, you might need extra clutch lever, dude. Listen, there's so much that is missing that nobody talks about on, what you properly need for your first ever track day. Because the point of it is we want you to show up. We want you to learn, and more importantly, and the most important thing is we want you to have fun. Because if you have fun, then you're definitely gonna come back. You show up, it's fucking miserable, it's hot, you don't lay the bike down, you have no idea what's going on. You're
yeah.
probably not going to come back, right? Then we lost somebody. So
Plus,
um
you get your feelings hurt because you thought you were fast and everyone else is really fast.
that's where that big old pile of humble pie comes into place, right?
Yeah,
It's and for us men, it's hard to put that to the side. We think we
yeah.
need the biggest, baddest, fastest bike, the 250 horsepower. Oh, I got a $6,000 exhaust, yada yada yada. Right? It's. I'm a big advocate on smaller bikes. Okay, be humble. It's hard to again put all that to the side. Um, Learn how to really ride, body position, corner speed, trail braking, and then advance and move up. You're gonna learn a lot more from riding a slow bike fast and a fast bike slow.
I tell you, I rode my first 400 at the track. I raced in the Separano Endurance last month on Mark Morrow's road race school team,
Yo,
and he handed out his 400 and let me, Eric Watts, and him. We raced it in the 2 3 hour races, and it was my first time ever on 400 on a track. And I tell you, I'm looking to buy one probably next year. It was a blast, a lot of fun, a lot of fun, and I couldn't say that it didn't help. I mean, I learned some stuff.
oh, 100%. Yeah, it's there's a reason why a lot of the legends of the sport ride smaller bikes when they train.
Yeah,
Um, it's it's like we just talked about this showing up to the track the first time. We're Valentino. We think we're doing on the street. We're this, we're that. We're so fast. Blah blah blah. And then we show up and there's a 12-year-old on a bike that's 500 cc, 600 cc's less than us, just railing us on the outside. And we're like, what's going on
yeah,
with this? But
yeah. Racing with FMRA, I got to see like Yandel Medina and Julian Carrera, and yeah, when you're on a 600 and they're only like 2 or 3 seconds off of your lap time, you're like, I guess I'm not that fast. They're on Milwaukee's, and Ninja 400s, and yeah, they'll show you what's really fast.
Yeah, yeah, but that's part of learning and progressing and pushing ourselves too as well. Is I don't want to say accepting defeat, but it really is. And but having that mind to where, hey, I want to learn. Even though
Yeah,
you're 15 years younger than me, you're obviously way faster than me. So teach me something I don't know. Like, what are you doing here? I noticed this. Blah blah blah. What advice do you have? And that just goes to show the maturity of who you are as a person instead of I don't need advice from him because he's 15 years younger than me. I'm like, oh, you need that advice. You need to go sit down, pull up a chair, sit at the front row, you pull out the notepad and a pen and take these notes, right?
yeah, yeah.
Which
That's why I like helping out with Ed Bargey's school and Mark Morrow's race school. Is you can it doesn't take a lot to unlock things in people's minds at the track. You can just show them a couple of things, even with their racing lines and stuff, and really open up, a lot more of the track day to them as far as the speed and the confidence and comfort out there. And yeah, it's a lot of fun doing that kind of stuff.
it's always an honor to show up and see somebody progress and grow, because you're part of that journey and you show them how to do it.
Yeah,
And you get great satisfaction out of doing it too. It's yeah, man, it's amazing because you as a coach, which will, teaching and all that, which we'll talk about, you learn by teaching people too as well because you'll see something that they're doing, you're like, man, I used to do that same exact thing, right? And this is what I did to overcome it. And then the guy that's teaching you, the girl that's teaching you said, well, you still kind of do this right here, right? But you're physically seeing it instead of just being on the bike doing it and somebody saying, hey, you're doing this and you're doing this. You're like, well, I didn't feel myself doing
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
yeah, man.
There's been plenty of times Jamie's been following me around, and he's like, "Hey, you're like 2 foot off the apex on every turn," and I'm like, "What?" And then he'll show me a video, and I'm like, "Why the heck am I doing that?" And it's like, "Okay, all right, well, I got to work on that." And it's like the whole day I'm confused on why my lap times are off, and then it's like, "Well, that's why you're." I'm not like comfortably leaning over the rumble strip like I should be. I'm like a couple feet off. I don't, my brain's just wasn't there at the moment. It's happened quite a few times.
Me too, bro. Right? You try to do your best Jorge Martin impression, dragging my shoulder and all that. Yes, you're not cool. I'm not cool, right? We're not
Nah,
there yet.
I gave up on the body position a while ago. It's like I don't think I look good in pictures, and I'm not trying to get my elbow down anymore. And I've switched to a super hooligan bike. I've given up on elbows being down. Like I just if I can get around the racetrack fast, that's all that matters. So
I one thing that was hard for me to get out my head was I used to be attached to my bikes all the time, and I used to come up with all these names for them. And then one day I just realized I don't know what it was. I was just like this light bulb just went off. I was like, you know what? All these motorcycles that's been in my life that I have up till right now, they're all just tools that I use to go faster on a track. Right there's
right,
no they're all beautiful in their own way, right? And I always refer to them as women. You see a woman, you're like, oh my gosh, just dropped you. I gotta talk to this woman. Like I gotta take her out, which means I gotta ride this bike. You throw your leg on the bike, and immediately it's like, I definitely need to change this and this and this and this and this and this, right? Or to your mind. And then when you finally take her out and you ride her properly, you're like, okay, um, I need to adjust myself to get the best out of this bike instead of trying to adjust the bike to get the best out of me, if that makes sense. So it's like um, learning the salsa dance with every beautiful woman you ever met. They all do it in a different way. They all speak a little bit different to you, and you got to change your approach on how you ride them differently too, as well, if that makes sense.
yeah. Fortunately, I've always been pretty good at just adapting to whatever piece of junk I have to be happen to be riding at the time. Uh, you have to make adjustments for some things. The MT09 has actually been a um, helped teach me that because that bike is not really set up for racing. So like I ran into issues of ground clearance really fast on that bike. So finding the right rear sets was one thing, and then finding a way to get the bike up off the ground was another. But a lot of times, like hopping on Mark's 400, it's like Mark's probably 100 pounds more than me, and it's set up for him. And it's like I just gonna have to ride it how it is. So you have to learn how to get around. Like going through some of the fast corners of Jennings, the chassis was just like flexing back and forth, and I just figured out like if I scoot my butt off the seat, even though I can stay in full tuck, it would just kind of calm everything down. So like that's been a good thing that I've been able to do is just whatever bike you're on, just figure out how to get the most out of it. And I might not be as fast as anybody else, but like try and do what you can with what you got.
You're learning. That
Yeah,
that's the big thing. And that's why I'm a huge fan of endurance racing, Matthew. It's me, you, and Mark, right? We go out, we're all different heights, different sizes, different weights. We like our clutch and lever in a certain position, our clip-ons on a certain, but the rear sets, the whole air, aerodynamics. I just fucked that word up. You know what I'm saying? The whole proper setup to suit you well. So
yeah,
by doing endurance racing, I got to adapt the way you like it, the way I like it, the way Mark like it. So it's a happy medium, right? Even
yeah,
suspension, tire pressure, the whole nine. So with that being said, when you go out there and you finally work it out mentally in your head, whether it's through body position, like you said, full tuck, hey, I need to, use my legs, come up off my ass up off the seat a little bit more, which comes the rear down, whatever it is, you figuring that out as you go. Whereas if you just focus it on your bike that's set up for you, um, I don't want to say it would take longer to kind of learn that, but you see it in a better light when you
yeah.
do endurance racing. So you figure it out a little bit quicker. I guess is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
yeah, and I started racing endurance racing. I did my first race in the summer of 2020, and I started endurance racing that same year with Motor Drone. You actually interviewed them
Yep.
with Kyle and Ryan, um, and yeah, it's been kind of the same bike the whole time, but like then you got an A bike and a B bike, and then the all you've done is practice on the A bike, but then the A bike breaks immediately. So then we just throw everything on the B bike and go right out there on it. So there is a lot of you just kind of got to adapt to whatever they throw at you.
Like this. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've had it
yeah, and
too where
it was a lot of fun.
it is, man. At the time when you first get on, like my first endurance race, me and my buddies did it. He went out there and crashed, come back in, and we just threw shit together. One clip on was like this, the other clip on was out here like this, But listen, this is part of learning as you go,
Yeah,
right? That way, the next time you go into it, you take a mental note. Hopefully, you wrote it down. And you remember, hey, this
yeah,
happened last time. How can we avoid that this time
yeah.
if something happens, and just being better
Yeah,
prepared for the
they've
situation. So
definitely over the years they've gotten a lot better at preparation and they have all the stuff. I mean, when I first started with them, we just had the one bike, and I got sent out in the endurance race. It had just rained. We were on slicks. I'd never done that before, so that was like a new learning thing for me. But like now if you look at their setup, there's like 4 or 5 sets of wheels. There's reins already mounted and ready. There's quick change stuff. So it's been fun watching throughout the years as they've grown to. I mean, winning races. I didn't ride at Roebling last year, but I was there when they got their first win, and it was just great to see after 4 years of pain and suffer and just getting so close and then just to watch them win, it was great to see.
yeah, being an honor to be in this position I am, making friends from around the world, watching you guys race, even at the club racing level. It's man, I get so emotional watching. Just even if you don't win, that seeing you make that next step, making that
Yeah,
next progression. Hey, yeah, I didn't finish on the podium. I initially set out to finish 12th, but I'm in seventh. Seeing that and feeling the energy and the motion, dude. There's no better feeling like it in the world, except for you doing it yourself. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, it's an absolute honor, man. And speaking of that, I want to come out and I want to watch you race too. Yeah. So
Well,
you're
Daytona,
I'll be there. You're gonna meet me at Daytona. I'm definitely gonna be there. So I'm gonna bring you some stickers, and yeah, it's
Well,
gonna be fun.
you've had Shane on your podcast, and I'm thinking that Shane, Mags, and I will be somewhere in the same area, hopefully pit right next to each other. So um, I'd love to help him again with the 200, doing his pit stops, and he's been a help because getting into Moto America is a little intimidating. So I've been reaching. Jamie's done a Moto America race. Shane's done one. I've been reaching out to everybody I know that can help. Um, I've been talking with Chuck Giacchetto with Giac Moto. He's Dominic Doyle's his rider.
Yep.
He's been helping me a lot trying to get this MT09 to somewhat of a competitive level. So he's been helping me for probably a couple months, telling me what parts to get, helping me get parts, just anything along the way has been super helpful. So it's very I like to prepare a lot before going into stuff, and I don't know if you really can with this. You kind of just got to go off of what people tell you, um, and just wing it as you go. So
The good thing is that you reached out to a lot of prepper mega legends of the sport that know what they're doing, right? So you're getting the best advice already. And it is going from club racing to doing a Moto America event is completely different. I mean, there's a lot of, I think when you step up to that, it's added pressure too as well because now you're in the Premier League. There's live
yeah,
cameras, and all that stuff that goes along with it.
yeah. If you
Again,
look like an idiot club racing, nobody really knows, but
you
there's no
look like that on
TVs.
TV, yeah, they're definitely gonna know. They're like, Matt, dude, I
Yeah,
can't believe you did that. You're like, yeah, I know.
yeah,
But again, it's part of learning, And speaking of, you going from track days to club racing as we all do, and then, but I never made it to AMA. Now, I think as the sport has grown, the more information is out there. It's easier for people to actually learn on how to make that transition, right? So, speaking of making that transition, how was it for you going from club wrestle, and what made you decide on super hooligans?
um, I uh, I'd never really had any interest in doing Moto America, being I was on a 600 before. I don't think that I'm fast enough to even. If I qualified, I'd be excited. I mean that if you can be a fast club racer, but if you're not dominating in the club racing, you'll be lucky if you qualify. I mean, Shane is insanely fast, and we've always been pretty close, but he's like stepped it up to this another level. Um, and he's not having any issues qualifying, but he's at Roebling, he's a 2 seconds faster than me. So it's like I don't know. He's better at a lot of these other tracks than I am. So I didn't have a lot of interest with doing 600s. I just don't want to waste my time going out there, spend all that money, have people come out, and then you're sitting there watching everybody else race. So when I got the MT09, it was just to kind of play around at track days and do some coaching on it. And I went to the endurance race with Motor Drone at Roebling, and I didn't ride. I didn't. That we were at a position where I hadn't been on that bike in a long time. I wasn't really, my fitness really wasn't up, and they were in the lead. And I looked at Shane and was like, if you think you can go do another hour, I trust you better. And he did. And I was like, I don't want to be the person that keeps this team from winning their first race. So I didn't race on Saturday. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hang out. I'll race on Sunday with the MT09 and just go out there and have fun. Threw some brand new tires on it, went within a second and a half of my personal best on the CBR, and was like, "Oh crap, I think this bike's actually pretty good for racing." So that's kind of when the super hooligan stuff started popping in my head. Um, After that, I went to Atlanta with Jamie, and that was a track where I could look back at previous races, super hooligan races, and see where I was at. So on some old scrub tires on a bone stock bike, I was somewhere near top 10 lap times. So it was like, okay, well, maybe I could do something in this class where, as in the 600, there's just too many good riders Not that the guys in Super Hooligan aren't, and I don't mean that in any way, but like there's too many guys like professional getting paid to be there in super sport for me to even fit anywhere in that. So that's where the idea of doing Super Hooligan kind of came up. Is like, well, it's more of the everyman kind of racing, I think. Um, so that's kind of where that came about.
Listen, the Super Hooligan class is an amazing class. I think it was one of the best ideas that Roland Sands come up with. It's what an ingenious idea, right? Take your uh, Super Hooligan. I mean, it's your Street Fighter motorcycles, your Indians, your Harleys, your MTO nines, your all, Triumph 765s. I mean, these are bikes that you go to dealerships, you see. You don't see GSXR 1000s. You don't see ZX6Rs. You don't see Gixxer 750s. These are the bikes you see when you go to your local dealerships. Of course, beside your four wheelers and side by sides and all that good stuff, right? But the majority of it is these bikes we're talking about, and showing
Yeah,
up to the track and seeing people race them. You're like, well, I can take mine to the track and do a track day. Then it opens up a whole new world for everybody. Um,
yeah,
it's one of my favorite classes. Uh, I would hate to be the guy, Matthew, to make the rules for all the different sizes of motorcycles in the category, right?
yeah,
But you'll learn so much, and again, it's I always call it our beautiful circus. But within our circus, it's almost like you got the bagger racer in its own little circle, and then you got the super hooligans in its own little circle, right?
yeah,
The twins and all that, even though we're under the same tent, so to speak. So, listen, I think it's a great platform. I think it's one of the reasons why Moto America is so successful. Besides the baggers, is super hooligans
oh,
for
they love the
sure.
baggers, that's for sure.
It's when they first brought it out, I was like, we'll see what happens. Everybody was kind of on the fence. Um, but after watching it and seeing how it made, because back in the day, it was the sports bikes versus the Harleys versus the cruisers. Everybody was in the circle, but outside the circle with their own little clique, right? When the super hooligans and the baggers come in, it combined everybody together.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
Yeah, I wish that they would, I hate that it's only some people at some races and some people at some races, and, like, God knows I don't wanna do a full, like, 12 race season. I wouldn't be able to afford it, but, um, it does it there's not everybody everywhere, so that kinda stinks where it's like super stock might not be there, and then maybe Twins Cup isn't there, and then maybe baggers aren't there, and I mean, Super Hooligan's only 5 rounds, um, and it's not even, uh, I would say it's not 5 places I would pick, but the fact that Super Hooligan doesn't go to Barber is kind of a crime. I mean, that's a perfect track for Super Hooligan bikes.
there's I, I'm not I don't judge anybody or the way they come up with this schedule, but sometimes when I see this schedule, being outside and not being inside, it's easy to judge the way they come up with it, so to speak, right? But if you were in there and the committee making the decisions and the schedules, reaching out to the track promoters and the owners and the insurance, dude, I'm sure it's a headache. I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole, right? But I often wonder that they could do it a little bit better to be more cost effective for people getting into the sport, not coming
Yeah.
from Virginia or Tennessee or Kentucky, going to the Ridge, then coming back to Atlanta, then going back out to wherever. Right? It's like
Yeah.
same thing with Superstock. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm excited about, Daytona, but I kinda want whoever made the schedule to go around Daytona at 160 miles an hour without a fairing. and then tell me that Super Hooligan's supposed to be there.
You
So
know,
maybe, why don't we switch Super Hooligan to Barber, where you're not holding it at 160 mile an hour for 50 seconds.
one thing that I would love to see them improve on, and I know again, it's with the schedule conflict. They got to schedule the way they do practice and qualifying for every category, but I would love to see where the Super Hooligans actually got more
Yeah,
practice and qualifying and seat time than versus showing up,
I
especially
mean
for somebody that's never been there. Right
the
now, you got to
races
figure out.
are relatively short as well. I mean Daytona's only going to be 6 laps, which I know it's a big track, but yeah,
But
they
still,
do run a tight schedule. I kind of understand that, but
yeah. I mean, it would, it's dude, take Daytona out of it because Daytona to me is which I'm super excited. We'll get to Daytona here in a minute. You racing there, but Daytona is such a unique track that it's not something you're gonna take anywhere to any other tracks and apply anything you pretty much learned at Daytona because the gearing's definitely not gonna be at any other track you race at, right? Um,
right.
it's that atmosphere, the quick change, front rear, just everything that goes along with it. You're not gonna have to deal with that VIR
Yeah.
or New Jersey or the Ridge or wherever. So, um,
Yeah, and I mean, I think what is it? Ray Hall Ducati said they're not even going. So like
no,
some of those teams are like, it doesn't mean anything for points. It's a huge cost, I'm sure.
oh
So
yeah,
it's I wish they could fit it into the season because obviously if it doesn't mean any points, it doesn't mean anything for their season, which kind of stinks. But yeah, Daytona is pretty unique. I don't want it to go anywhere for sure. I mean, it's an excellent race, but wish it meant something more for those teams.
listen, I haven't said this, but yeah, dude, I totally agree, man. I believe that if we're gonna have the 200, yeah, that's the most premier racetrack. Did you talk to anybody? What's the number one race they say in America is Daytona? That's what everybody. What do you think? Michael Dunlop shows up. He don't show up to race Laguna Seca. He don't show up
No,
to race Coda. Peter Hickman. They show up to race the Daytona 200 because it's the most iconic historical racetrack that we're known for in the United States. I would love to keep that the way it is, but keep it separate, but also maybe add it into the schedule for a full round in
yeah,
Moto America for points, right? So that way, um, yeah, man, who wouldn't want to go to Daytona twice a year out of any racetrack? I mean, let's just be
yeah,
honest, right? But so you would have the 200 which quick quick change, blob, all that, right, for the 200, and then have a normal Moto America race weekend there where you it's a normal race weekend. You don't have pit stops. You don't have that. Yeah, of course, it's a lot longer race. I get it. The front straight, well, it's not really straight. The baking, you're going to use
yeah,
more fuel, but just shorten the laps,
yeah.
But how cool would that be? Right?
It'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely, it would. So, speaking of, let's talk about the Daytona 200. It's my first time going there this year, which I'm super excited about. Um, how did all this come to be with you in the Daytona 200?
Well, the Super Hooligan's actually not the 200 race itself. It's just during the same weekend. So, um, but hopefully I'll be helping Shane do his Daytona 200. So, um, I will hopefully be a part of it. But yeah, I mean the schedule's only got 5 rounds, and with 2 of them being on the West Coast, probably not going to happen for me. With Laguna and the Ridge, so the focus was just to go anywhere I could that was reasonable. So Daytona, Road Atlanta, and Mid Ohio are the three that are um, reasonable. I mean, Mid Ohio is I think about 13 hours away, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, if I tried to get to Laguna, it would be, few days of driving, a few days of racing, a few days driving back. Then you got to turn around. I think the Ridge is like 2 weeks later, and then you got to go all the way to Washington. So I just don't know if those are going to happen. Um, they're not on my radar. If they happened, it would just be a miracle. Um, so the only choice now is to just make the ones I can. So Daytona is a part of that. I've never ridden on that track. never really been high on my list of things to do. There are great tracks in the Southeast. That's not up there on the list. Barber's there, Road Atlanta's amazing. I've been to Pitt. Pitt's amazing. Um, Daytona looks cool, and it's one to check off the list. But since it's a part of the schedule and it's an hour and a half away from here, I guess I don't have a choice. I got to be there.
I love it, man. And yeah, and you get Shane's a legend. I know him. He's a man. Who don't love Shane Max? He's definitely special. It's cool, man. I'm excited. Like I said, it's my first Daytona 200, so I'm anxious to show up and smell the smells and the
Oh
energy and
yeah,
the atmosphere, and everything goes along with it. Which bringing so I'll be at Daytona and I'll be at Road Atlanta too. So I'll see you there at Road Atlanta for
perfect.
MA. Mid Ohio, I'm gonna try to make. So I'm doing Daytona. When I come back, I got wrist surgery. Then I'm flying to Texas 6 days after that for the GP race. And when I come back, it'll be Road Atlanta, and then a kind of a long gap, then VR, and then Jersey, which is the last race of the year. So yeah, and I plan
I've
on
been
making it
I've been
to
to
DOT.
Coda
So
a few times for MotoGP, but it would have been Coda was on the Super Hooligan schedule last year, so that would have been a cool one to go to, but they dropped it this year. So
they
I
did.
probably would have tried to stretch that one. It's not too far.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We gotta do Coda's an absolute amazing track. It is our elite. It's the best elite program racetrack we have in America. There's not a
Yeah,
racetrack that's as properly set up, so to speak,
yeah.
as there. So I've been fortunate enough that this will be my 8th year in a row going to the
Oh
GP
wow.
race, or 7th. Yeah.
Nah,
It's it's
I think I've been three times since we went the first year in 2013. We went again in 15, and then we went just recently. I don't know if it was 21 or 22. I can't remember. Um, yeah, I haven't been that many times though.
I mean,
I might have been to the 200 that many times. I might have you beat on that.
you
Both
definitely got
sides.
me beat on that.
I've been to the Supercross there in Daytona and the 200 for many years in a row.
I'm excited to go see Sammy Halbert and flat track racing there at Daytona when I come.
I've never watched any of the flat track, and it's
Dude, we should hook up and go, man. Because I'm going, dude. Hook up with me, man. Let's go. Let's go watch and cheer
yeah,
Sammy on.
it's never really caught my interest, but I've never been to it, so I can't say I don't like it, but I've never fought to go see it. So
Well, you don't have to because you're going with me. So that's it. It's done. It's made up. You, your wife, dude, your
fair
kids, dude.
enough.
Let's go. My dad, dude. We're gonna go. We're all gonna go. We're gonna have a good time. It's good. It's gonna be a blast, man, for sure.
Yeah, well, I'll have to check it out.
We're gonna check it out 100%. So I want to get to a couple of these questions real quick. Kyle McGill, which is a good buddy of mine, out Coleman's good big shout out to Coleman Power Sports in Virginia. If anybody's in Virginia, Coleman Power Sports is the dealership you definitely want to go to. He says so many feelings get us hurt first time. We all have something to learn. Fun is key. Leaving your ego at home is more important. Track family will always willing to help, and you're right. Meaning that for those listening that don't quite get it, it's I could show up to the track. Um, I go to my man Matthew right here and be like, "Hey, I have the same bike you do, but I need a 14 tooth front sprocket. I don't have one. Do you have one I can use? So my gearing's way off. Yeah, sure, absolutely. There you go. And then I go out and end up kicking his butt during that session or whatever. Right? He'll come back in and be like, "Bro, that was awesome. What fun times we just had. You was doing this. And then that's where family starts. That's where deep friendships, start from that you never thought about even when you show up to the track the first time. But that
Yeah,
willingness to help is imperative. And honestly, that adds to the whole experience on your first day, your first initial track day, your first time there, right? Again, we don't never want anybody to show up and not have fun. Because if you're not having fun, you're definitely not going to come back. You might go home and sell that bike and never ride again. I mean, I've seen it happen before. So it's we want everybody to have fun, and the most important is to be safe. Have fun and be safe, right? And everybody's there
yeah.
willing to help you out, um, which is awesome. And Andrew, What is up, Andrew? He says Matt crushed it this weekend at Arma.
Yep, I saw him Saturday. That was my first time at Arma. Wasn't really the conditions we were looking for. It uh, started pissing down rain as I was sitting on the grid for race one, so
Shit myself.
that was
Yeah.
terrifying. I had some used tires on there. I don't know what was wrong with them. They were like it was like riding on ice. Uh, but we yeah, it rained the rest of the day, so we switched over to rains and had a good time. But yeah, that first race, I've never almost crashed so many times in my life.
I love it, man. I love it. I love riding in the rain. I used to. I remember when I first got my first street bike, and I looked for the rain. I was like, when it rains, I'm going riding. Right? It's that soothing sound when it hits your helmet, and then you, as you push yourself in the rain, you're teaching yourself how much grip your tires actually have and how hard you can actually brake. Right? I'm not saying go fast in the rain on the street. That's not what I'm saying at all. But when you push yourself, you learn that. And then when you go to your track day and it rains, you have your first proper set of wets. I'll never forget. I was like, dude, I'm gonna crush it. Like, look at the deep grooves in this. I'm gonna absolutely just murder it. It was yeah, it's different because
Yeah,
again, it teaches you uh the Jorge Lorenzo style, smooth as butter, right? You want to be that
yep,
nice, smooth, not just let off the brakes and then boom. You want to just
yeah,
ease off and then get on, and everything's more slow, controlled movement.
yeah, yeah. There's no better feeling than putting your knee down in the rain. It's like, oh yeah, that's now you've made it.
Unless
Getting
your
your knee down's
elbow and your
exciting,
shoulder
but
and
in
all
the
that
rain,
follow right after. Right. Yes. And I've
yeah,
been there many times. Trust me. I know. Yeah. It's good. Uh, Just like Kyle says, body position isn't everything, but it helps. It does. I've dragged my shoulder plenty of times while crashing. We do. Right. I'm with you on that. Andrew said the same thing. He says, got my elbow down without sliders this weekend while crashing, but got the mark to prove it. Congratulations. Well, we've all been there. I love it, man. It's but crashing's one thing, but going back and hopefully somebody either recorded it or you keep it in your brain, because sometimes it's slow motion, but then once it's done, it's like a blank. Like I don't remember how it happened or anything, right? But
yeah.
understanding
I've crashed
why
a
it
couple
happened and
times
all
and
that. So
don't even know what happened. So sometimes you don't have a choice in remembering it.
that's true. That's true. Kyle wants to know if you're club racing to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, a little bit. Like the armor race this weekend was just my main
That's true.
focus was just race starts. I just wanted to get launches dialed in, first lap intensity, um, so that when I get to Moto America, I've got a little bit of got a little bit because I mean it's been since like July last year that I raced, so I just wanted to get the starts down, first laps down, and wherever I finished, I finished. I didn't really care. I just wanted to work on that. So I did the Arma this weekend just because it was the only organization racing before Daytona. And then we're gonna do. I think Pre has a track day in Atlanta in April. I'd like to do to get ready for the Atlanta race in May with Moto America, and then I'll probably do some in the summer because if I don't go to Laguna and the Ridge, there's going to be a huge June, July, August, probably 2 or 3 month gap in between Atlanta and Mid Ohio. So I'll probably do. Oh, that's right. Mark wanted me to do the ultralight endurance with Weira on his Ninja 400. So I'll do that at Roebling and then possibly Barber as well. So just trying to get a little bit in here and there just to keep the riding fitness up. I try and stay. I'm working out 5 days a week right now, so I try and stay on that pretty hard. But different stuff hurts when you get back from the track. Then I don't care what you do. I ride bicycle, I run, I weight lift. Different shit hurts when you get back from the track. So I'm gonna try and fill in the gaps there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny story with that. You're right. In order to be bike fit, that's why MotoGP, World Super, they're always on bikes, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's a kart track, it's a little 125, whatever it is, they're constantly, but they have the means and the money and all that
Yeah.
to be able to do that, right? And it was I got my son is trampoline, right? I'm out there. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna show you a backflip, double, do all this like I used to do. And I'm out there, I'm doing all this shit. Matt, the next day I woke up, I felt like I got beat up by Mike Tyson. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me right now? I can't even
Yep.
move, it's yeah, buddy, but it's so important to constantly stay on the bike to be bike fit because there's no workout, no bicycle
Yeah.
training, no nothing that can replicate the not only the sensations but the emotions and everything that go along with it riding a motorcycle.
Yeah. Yeah, I try. I actually, for my commuter, I ride every day. So the van that I use for racing is that's all. There's weeks on end that it doesn't get touched. I just hop on my bike and go to work every day. So I feel like that helps keep the motor controls there. And but as far as the sensations, yeah, you definitely when you get back to the track, you're like, you're like 5 seconds off your best lap time. And you're like, God, that felt so fast. But as the day goes on, you get closer and closer. So it takes some time for your senses to get back to where fast actually is.
Absolutely. It's yeah, it's just showing back up. It's almost like you got to plug yourself back into the matrix to reprogram your brain and your body to get up to that Matamento's mega speed, right? And it
Yeah.
always put me in awe when people would show up and immediately back right on it. And I'm like, how are you doing this? Like I'm confused right now.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's what Jamie did after he broke his femur. He crashed at Roebling, broke his femur. What July, August, September, October, November, maybe 4 months later, he was back at Roebling coaching with Ed Bargy and doing 15s the first day. And it was like, dude, not only have you not been on a bike in 4 months, but you're coming back from a horrific crash, and he's already like, a second or half a second off his personal best.
you're like, bro, I'm buying you a steak dinner tonight for sure. You deserve it. Yeah, dude. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Israel says you were running great. How close were we out of turn two in the first race?
How close were we out of turn two in the first race? I don't know what he means on that. He definitely won the first race. I don't know. He was 20 seconds ahead of me, second, third, and fourth. So it was me and a couple other guys. So I don't know what grip he had in that rain on slicks, but I didn't have it. I felt like every turn was almost an accident. So he can have that one.
I love it. Yeah, Israel's he's absolutely proper fast. Yeah, I can't wait to meet him at Daytona too as well. So
Yeah, we've raced against each other quite a bit in Weira when I was on my CBR racing. I think his V2 is allowed in like B Superbike and
mhm.
B Super Stock, so we raced quite a bit in that. And he's always been super fast, and that Ducati is amazingly fast.
They're beautiful weapons, right? They
Yeah,
are. They're but I've raced all kinds of inline fours and some twins, but Ducatis always have this. They're just different. It's like you got to ride them different. You approach them different. Again, they're a different, beautiful woman, right? And they require certain things. It's yeah, but they're
yeah.
beautiful.
Being Italian, it's probably sacrilege for me to say it, but I'm not into the Italian bikes, and I think it's because I wrench on my own stuff. So they may be great to race, but if I've got to deal with its problems, I'm not interested. So I joke with my buddy Omar about that all the time. He's got an Aprilia and he loves the Ducatis, and I'm like, that's great as long as you keep them in your garage.
I love them from afar. I love you from over here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it.
they may be great to race, and it may be the best race bike I've ever had, but it better come with a mechanic because I'm not interested in working on them.
Yeah, they're actually surprisingly they're one of the easier bikes to work on in my personal opinion. Especially the 748 916 era bikes, man. They're like
I got to get you a CBR 600 if you think a 748 is easy to work on.
Bro, dude. Well, they are, man, because you can literally take off the gas tank, the front fairing, the side fairings, and the tail section in like 3 minutes. It's nothing
Yeah, but
to
you
it at
got
all,
to every
right?
session, right?
No, not really. I mean, the old cam belt bikes, yeah, the valve adjustment every 6,000 miles, you raced it, you cut that pretty much in half to 3,000 miles, depending on how you push. So, yeah, but it's again, it's that whole I mean, it's like having just Walmart shoes to a pair of Air Jordans, right? It's that luxury that you just approach it. That was kind of a bad way to put it. Walmart shoes to Jordans, but it's dude, they're different, right? Every bike again has its own temperament, what it likes, what it don't like. Some
I've
bikes are
always
easier
prided
to set
myself
up.
on being the guy that runs a marathon in Walmart shoes. So maybe that's where our differences are. Is like I'd rather take a CBR 600 that everybody thinks is slow and win races on it. So
I don't. I man, I'm a huge fan of the 600s. I've always loved the 600s. I love and the smaller bikes too as well. I'm honestly, dude, I'm a fan of all bikes. There's not too many bikes you'll see me look at and be like, yeah, that's just it's some are for you, some are for not, right? But they're
yeah,
they're all two wheels and they're all beautiful in their own characteristics in their own sort of way, right? Just like women, they're all beautiful in their own ways and all that. So some just move us in different ways than others do. Um,
some
we're
are
attracted.
more high maintenance than others.
Some are more high maintenance than others. Exactly. See, we're learning. We're growing together. Yes, yes, yes. We get it. We get it. Yeah. No, but you are right. And Israel says a triple is somewhere between a CBR and a Ducati. It is, and uh,
Yeah,
I love
I tell you, that's my first triple, and it is a lot of fun. It sounds
sweet.
amazing. Oh, so much torque. It's been a lot of fun, and I imagine all the guys on the R9s racing this year are gonna have a blast, and the
Blast.
grid's gonna sound amazing.
I agree, man. It's something about a triple. It's like it's the best of both worlds as far as the inline four and the twin. But same thing as a V4, but to me, so more of the triple brings it out better to me. It's like it's got that almost best connection between this and what the rear is telling you.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is about the triples, man. They just sound good. They're the way they hum, the connection, the
yeah,
low end grunt as soon as you crack on that
yeah,
throttle.
yeah.
It's
That bike pulls out of corners
bro.
like you wouldn't believe.
And I say this, and some people look at me like I'm fucking crazy, but I don't care. When you're on an inline four, you got to keep that thing just pegged. So naturally, it's what? It's fucking loud as hell, right? So when it's bah, you mentally feel like, holy shit, I'm doing warp Mach 9 on
Yeah,
this thing. But you look down, you're doing 90. Okay. Where a
yeah,
twin or a triple, it's got that deep tone to it to where when you get on that throttle, it's got that initial pull, but it don't sound like you're doing subsonic speed. But you look down,
yeah,
you're like, holy shit, I'm doing 120 miles an hour. Like I had no idea. Right. So it's
yeah.
that whole mind psychological thing, I think also has a lot to do, at least me personally, has to do with that. This speed kind of the equalizer, but the difference because of the tone of the bike and the connection you feel and you
It
get out of it, so to speak.
it
So
definitely takes some getting used to coming off of 600 because you're used to going to I think the CBR went to like 15.5. So, and this one's like 11.7, I think. So it took a lot of getting used to. And I still, even at Arma this weekend, practicing the starts, I was bouncing off the rev limiter at like every shift just because my brain is so used to like, I want to hear it whine out more. So, it's taken some getting used to with that bike because it's just, you don't have to ride it that way. And so you kind of got to change the way you ride a little bit with that bike.
and I always felt like I was short shifting. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you feel like you're shorts because you're used to the again that whole mental. Bah!
Yeah.
Well, I'm just now getting in the stride, and you're like, you're running out of breath, and it's still pulling. You're like, shit, is this thing ever going to stop
Yeah.
revving? And you bang another gear, and you're just forever. Where a twin and a triple, it's not as long, and then it's again, it's that whole sight thing to where you feel like it should have more RPM, but it's almost smacked out. So you got to again learn different shift points on the track, of course, and all that stuff
Yeah.
that goes along with it. But to me, I have more fun riding a triple or a twin than I do an inline four, just because me, it's less of a workout, so to speak. Let's just be honest, right?
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Yeah, it's a less of a workout. So instead of going from third to first, I can go from third to second, keep it in second. Just I got that ass and that grunt just like right
Yeah.
out the corner, right? So I don't not as much shifting, throughout the laps and all that does play a
I feel like I
role.
have to remind myself that with the MT09 is like it doesn't have to be at 10 grand in that turn. Like if you where you're like, oh, should I shift? Shouldn't I shift? It's like, well, maybe I should just leave it in the lower gear and just let it pull its way out with the torque. So you have to change the way you ride a little bit because on a 600, man, if it's not above 10 grand, you're not getting anywhere. So
You're not doing shit. Let's just be
yeah,
honest, you're not. It's yeah, man. Well, listen, dude, we're an hour into this podcast already, right? I told you this go by so fast, but listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're definitely going to sit down for a part two. Matter of fact, I want to see Matthew in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks from now. Me and him are going to get together. My buddy Shane's going to be there. We're going to do a quick 10-minute live little shout out right there at the racetrack. When I end this podcast, me and Matthew are going to stay on. We're going to go ahead and schedule our part two. I want to follow your whole progression this season. Club racing, Moto America, both, right? I want to see you succeed. I want to see you grow too, and fulfill all your dreams in racing. It'd be an honor to have you
perfect.
on the journey along, and so you could tell everybody, the whole journey and get everybody involved. But with that being said, man, I'm gonna get to a couple of these questions. I'm not gonna ask you all of them like I normally do because we're already an hour over this. But I'm definitely gonna keep some for part two. So, do you have any pets, man? Do you have any pets?
Pets?
Yeah, dogs, animals. I
Uh,
got I got I got my puppy Princess Fiona right here and my other dog Charlie in here. So they're
yeah,
all
we've got a dog. I'm not much of a pet person. I've got a snake and a rabbit. Uh,
Do you feed
but
the rabbit to the snake?
no, I don't know. He's not
He's
big
like,
enough for
no.
that. No, he's
Oh,
not big enough for that. But no, I'm not a huge pet person, but just a couple.
I gotcha.
Um,
Do you have any merch for sale?
no, just I had team shirts made just for the for racing, so maybe eventually, but not right now.
I gotcha. Well, when you do in the future, keep me in mind. I'll buy one off you. I love to donate to my friends and help them out. So let me know. I'll PayPal you, Venmo, whatever you do, and wear a shirt, wear it on the podcast, and help you out, man, for sure. So,
Perfect.
um, again, do you are you a coffee drinker?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Oh,
could have a cup right now.
dude, my wife's like that. She's like, I'm going to bed in an hour, 2 cups of coffee later. I'm like, how are you drinking coffee? Get ready to go to bed. Like I couldn't do that, right? So
And my wife hates coffee, so uh, she doesn't understand how I can drink it all day long.
that's good.
102 degrees outside, I'll have a hot cup of coffee. It don't bother me.
Well, I like cold coffee when it's hot, and then hot coffee when it's cold. But yeah, I feel
I
you
drink it
on that.
hot all year round.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, I'm with it. Trust me, I'm with it. I'm with it. Dude, tell us something we don't know about you at all.
Oh God, uh, that's a tough question. Uh,
It's got to be something. I don't like broccoli. I'm scared of heights. Horror flicks totally, absolutely scare me. Just anything. Something we don't know about Matthew at all.
yeah, I don't know. I like dorky comedy shows like The Office. I don't know.
Dude, it would have been epic if you said, I like big butts and I cannot lie. No, dude, that would have been awesome. I'm like, yes, let's go. Oh my God.
No, I'm not super secretive. Anybody that knows me pretty much knows me.
Yeah, I'm open book to myself. So I tell anybody everything. Nikki's like, you probably shouldn't say that. I'm like, why? It's the truth. Like, I'm not going to hide nothing from nobody. So yeah. Um, Dude, so with that being said, what's your worst habit, bro?
For
In life, what's your worst? So I smoke cigarettes. I quit smoking cigarettes. I took up vaping, and I ain't vaped in, it's been over a month. I totally just cut it out. So that was
good
my
for
worst
you.
habit.
Um,
Chewing tobacco, biting your fingernails.
I used to bite my fingernails, but I finally quit in the last few years. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I smoked for a little bit when I was um, probably 18, 19, 20 in there, but I always told my wife when we had our first kid I'd stop, and I did. So, um,
I did too, but then I picked up vaping, so I just changed one thing for the other, and then yeah, I quit vaping. So yeah, man, that was absolutely yeah my worst habit. And sometimes, dude, like I'm a procrastinator. Like I'm like I'll just get to it for a while because I'm always go go go, right? So it's hard for
yeah,
me to just sit down and relax. But there's very few times where I'm like, you know what, I ain't doing shit today. I'm just gonna Netflix and chill, as they say. About 3 hours into it, I'm like, yeah, I got to do something. I don't care if I vacuum the house 3 times. I got to wash the car. I just got to do something. I'm not that
yeah.
type to sit still for a long period of time, unless the Alaman TT's on, or British Superbikes, or Moto America, or Moto GP. Then I'm fucking just single vision. Don't hear bombs could be going off. Hey, there's zombies at the door. I'm like, cool. Grab the 300 blackout. It's right over here. Load it up. Let's go. Y'all keep it down, dude. The race is on. So yeah, that's me all the way. I'm a big audiobook guy. I listen to a shit ton of audiobooks. Is this something you do too as well, Matthew?
No, I listen to podcasts like crazy. That's kind of my thing. And lately it has been focused on TV shows. I love listening to like I just finished a podcast about Breaking Bad, which is a great show, and it's cool to catch some of the inside stuff. I just switched over now that that one's done. I'm listening to the Better Call Saul podcast because I just finished that series. So I like to get it's just a good way to turn something on and kind of kill some time. So if I'm, walking around at work or something, I can just put an AirPod in and disappear into a different world. So I do listen to a lot of podcasts.
Dude, listen, I'm dude Matthew. I'm with you. I listen to a fucking shit ton of podcasts. Surprisingly, I don't listen to a whole lot of motorcycle podcasts. I do, but
Me
it,
neither. I think RevZilla's High Side Low Side's the only one I listen to as far as
bro,
bikes
you just
go.
broke my heart, man. What are you talking about? You don't listen to Pin to Gas? What are you kidding me?
I'm sorry, I forgot about you.
Boo! This podcast is over. Bye. No, I'm just playing. That's
Click.
hilarious, dude. You're good. You're good. It's
No, I mean, there's other ones I've tried. People have recommended like Ken Hill's podcast, but I don't know. I focus a lot on the TV stuff, so for some reason that's mainly what I listen to.
for me, it's funny you said that. Since I do motorcycle podcast, everybody knows, and I say it all the time, I wanted to be different than everybody else. I wanted to focus on, club racers, track day enthusiasts, people in the back of the grid that don't get to come out and tell their story. I seen a missing link in our sport, right? I wanted to bridge that gap and give everybody a voice and a platform. Um, Not saying that, dude, I would love to have Peter Hickman on my podcast one day. Stay tuned. Peter Hickman will be on my podcast, but my focus is on like you, Matthew, and everybody else. And with saying that, I do listen to motorcycle podcasts. One that I listen to, one of my favorites is Chasing the Racing in the UK. They're awesome. My man Dave Neal, he has a podcast called Off Track. It's all BSB and Alaman TT, and everybody knows I'm a BSB TT freaking nut, right? So and then of course James Rispoli and Corey Alexander. I listen to them. Um, but I'm more like you. Like I listen to Danny Jones a lot. I listen to some Joe Rogan. I love Breaking Bad. Was one of the fucking greatest TV series ever invented. Let's just be honest. So I started listening to that one. Um, Ted Lasso. I listened to those podcasts with Ted Lasso. I don't know if you ever watched Ted Lasso.
No.
Apple TV. This is a series called Ted Lasso where they take a football coach and they bring him over to the UK, and I was the head coach of a soccer team. And it's just like this, dude, shit storm, dude. It's freaking hilarious. It's a good time. It's good vibes. So on Apple TV too, I have a series called Bad Monkey, I think it is, with Vince Vaughn. It's really good. So I actually downloaded the book for that too as well to listen to that whole, because books get into a um it tells the whole story versus when you watch Breaking Bad, you see throughout the seasons, you get the gist of the whole story if you really pay attention. But when you
Yeah.
listen to it, you remember the certain scenes, right? But it brings you into a whole deeper part of the story that obviously the TV series can't tell. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that, man. Yeah, dude, I like that, and of course, I actually there's another good one that a buddy of mine turned me on to from Australia. This one's called and I'm this is the one I'm binge listening to right now. It is called The Martyr Maid,
I
and
haven't heard of
I'm
that one.
actually listening to this series of Jim Jones, the whole Jim Jones series, where the 900 people don't drink the Kool Aid, the
Yeah.
cyanide in the Kool Aid, and all that. So this is all about that. Um, which, dude,
Yeah,
it,
there's some of them that I only catch up on YouTube. Like I mainly see yours on Facebook, which is good, and then on YouTube, like I'll watch a little bit of like Gypsy Tales and stuff.
I like
It's
Gypsy
not
Tales.
something like, yeah, I like his stuff, but you only got so much time to listen to stuff, and it's like if I follow 50 podcasts, I'm just not keeping up with. After a while, it's like I haven't listened to a Joe Rogan one in forever, and it's just because like, man, he'll put out like 5 a week, and it's like, how the heck am I supposed to keep up with that? Like,
I'm guilty. I put out 4 or 5 a week too myself. So yeah, dude.
it's
Listen,
it's tough to keep up with them all. That's for sure.
dude, it's tough to do it. Man, I'm
Yeah,
listen. If I didn't have the love and support I have from my wife and my son, I wouldn't for one be doing this right now. Yeah, so they both told me that this year I need to slow down, only do 2 a week, right? So moving forward, uh minus all the ones that I had pre-scheduled, right? Like
yeah,
like this is one of my most busy weeks of the years is this week coming up with you, and I got a video chat right after this at 8 o'clock with another buddy of mine that I'm setting up for a podcast that's coming up next week. Yeah, dude, I'm a busy bee. Put it this way: I got you. I got a video chat after you. I got a podcast tomorrow. I got another video chat Wednesday. I got a podcast Thursday. I got a podcast Friday. I got a podcast Sunday. I got a podcast Tuesday. I got a podcast Wednesday. I got a podcast Thursday. Listen, it's work. People, I make it seem easy sometimes, and it's 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 my love and passion for it. But man, it's a lot of work that goes into it. So
yeah,
I feel you on that because I listen to podcasts where they just pumping them out too, and I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm gonna be able to catch up unless I just binge listen to this shit for the next 10
yeah,
weeks, right? And even then, I don't even know if I'll be caught up. So yeah, I
yeah,
feel you. It's almost intimidating,
yeah.
right? So to speak, Matthew, kind of because you're like, dude, I love it, but dude, you just keep putting out so many. How am I supposed to keep up? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Brennan says, Lisa Cunningham says torque for days on the triples. You're absolutely right. 100%.
absolutely.
Brendan says, I love the visor, Chris. Thank you. This is so I got this I got a Laguna Seca visor that I bought in '05, first year back in Rossi with Nastro Azzaro. So yeah, I got the visor. This is old school right here. Proper old school visor. Yes, it is. It's so, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was Valentino Rossi's birthday. That's hence why I got the whole 4-6 going on right now. So pay homage to the GOAT, for sure, the GOAT. So yeah, man, absolutely. Listen, I'm gonna let you go here in a minute because I got this video chat coming up, but I am gonna ask you one last question. Um, two, real quick. If you could travel back to any era of time, what era would you travel back to?
You're asking too deep of questions.
Matthew's like, I was not prepared for this, Simcoe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I like history, but I don't want to be a part of a lot of it. That's for sure.
Dude, you don't want to go back to like the Egyptians, see how the pyramids were built, or Sparta,
Don't
see
care.
King Leonidas, or
No, no.
1776 and the Cowboys and the Indians. None of that. You don't want to go back to any of that first airplane. None of that.
Sounds like times where I'm gonna get stabbed or shot because I'm not manly enough. No thanks.
All right, you know what? Moving forward from that, last question for you. I'll give all my shout outs. I'm gonna let you end the podcast like I always do. Just stay on with me for a minute. As soon as I end it, we'll go ahead and schedule our part two. But Money No Object. You had your own Moto America Superbike team. No, forget the Superbike, Super Hooligans. Matthew, Money No Object, your own Super Hooligans team. What's the manufacturer motorcycle you would have, and who's the two current riders you'd put on your team?
Probably gonna have to stick with my Yami. I like Yamahas. I think the MT-09's going places, especially with the R9 coming into Super Sport. I think that bike's going places. Um, Top two riders. They got to be super hooligan riders, or are we pulling them out of Superbike?
Anybody you want to, as long as they race in Moto America.
I don't think it'd be hard to get um, Gagne onto a Yamaha and Super Hooligan, being as a Yamaha rider. So that would be an amazing. I mean, he'd kill it. Although it would take away the everyman's racing that I was talking about earlier if you put him out there. Um, and I don't know. I think Heron would be fun to have around. He seems like a cool guy. To be honest, I was a big Eslick fan back in the day, so I hated Heron there for a while. But he's kind of come around. He started doing his YouTube, and you got to know him as a person, and I kind of like him now. So he'd be cool to have on that on one on a bike as well.
Yeah, I used to of course you love the people you loved and you dislike the other people, but always step back and was like, I see why people, love him versus him or her versus her or whatever, right? You got to respect the energy in the game everybody brings to the table, because that's what first makes us unique, and that's what makes people attracted to you, right? In that certain sense. um I ain't gonna lie, I was always a Josh Heron fan. I remember when he first started, he had the 4.6 furry thing on the back and the doctor on his leathers. Dude, I'll never forget it. When first time I met him at VIR, it's that he was that standout personality, that ugly duckling, so to speak, that and then people, kind of love him or hate him. It
Yeah,
is what it is. He brings a different element to the game. So I respect everybody racing. Whether I say it all the time, Matt, none of us are strangers. We're just friends that haven't met yet. And I mean that, meaning that,
yeah,
let's say me and you, we meet, which our energies already match, right? But let's say our energies didn't match. But if me and you sat down and we had a genuine conversation, we'd have at least 10 things that we'd have in common. And as we start talking and picking each other's brain, we start smiling, then we start laughing, right? Then we start high fiving. Guess what? That negative energy is now positive energy. So we were friends all along. We just got
yeah,
to jump in the river together and go about that journey to figure each other out, to come to that love, mutual love and respect, so to speak. So um,
yeah.
I think if people thought more like that, this place would be a happier place for sure. Um,
Absolutely.
Instead of the whole, I'm better than you. I got Gucci, you got Prada, I got Air Jordans, you got fucking Shacks from Walmart. Who gives a shit? I mean, that don't define us as you got a Ducati, I got a fucking, CB 300. Dude, that don't mean you're faster than me. I mean,
Yeah,
it's that whole um, you know, what's the words I'm looking for? The whole if you have something, I guess you think that your status quo is automatically elevated above somebody else. And at the end of the day, like I don't consider myself a United States citizen. People, listen to what I'm getting ready to say. I'm a citizen of the earth. We're all under the same planet. I don't care if you're white, black, purple, blue, green, whatever. We breathe the same air. We live under the same sun. The same seas separate everybody, right? So we're here. We have all that in common. So we're all the same. We're all a citizen of the same planet, not Argentina and Italian and American and Mexico and Cantonese and all this other shit, right? I feel like once they started doing that, I'm going on a rant real quick. Once they started doing that, it gives a reason for separating everybody. Anyway, enough of that. But anyway, I'm a citizen of the earth. So, yeah, I feel you on that. Well, it's all nothing but, like Bob Marley said, one love under one sun, under one planet. So, there it is. But anyway, Matthew, it's been an absolute honor to have you on the podcast. I cannot wait to get you back on for part 2. I can't wait to meet you at Daytona. Man, we got so much to talk about this year. It's going to be a proper mega really good time. Um, Everybody that watches and likes the podcast, man, it's nothing but love for every single one of you guys and girls, because without you I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Yes, those hearts are just for you. You like that, didn't you? First and foremost, if you have not yet, please go on all my socials, YouTube, blah 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 blah, hit that ding ding ding, that bell. You guys know the deal. Big shout out to Next Level Financial for all your financial needs. Bisontrack.com for your full custom suit. Again, what are you guys doing? It's somewhere back here. You guys see, it's 2025. Treat yourself, love yourself, get that full custom. Matt, he'll tell you all about it, from a off the rack suit to a full custom suit. World of a difference. Big shout out to Chef Eats. You guys have a discount code. Pin the gas. Get a discount on Chef Eats. Best meals there is in America. Instead of taking a charcoal grill and all that to the track, just bring a microwave. You got a generator. You don't need to bring a charcoal grill and charcoal and gas and all that. Just bring the microwave. It's proper mega food. Just walk around the paddock, even at club races. Matthew, you've seen Chef Eats everywhere.
Oh yeah,
dude, bro. So Chef Eats, treat yourself. It's 2025. Big shout out to TST Industries. My man Martin at the Clothing King. I got a new one over here, but I pick up the one my son. He's been coloring this, right? So you guys go to clothingking.co.uk, get all your Pin to Gas merch. Big shout out to my man Eric. You guys stay tuned. I got him coming on from Superbike Supply, SFL Mini GP, Michael Correa, Julian Correa, all of them, Ella Dreyer, Avery Dreyer, Isaac Woodworth. Who do you think all the legends are coming from? Out of South Florida and Jersey. You got Yandel Medea, Brandon Posh, Anthony Maciato, Gus Rodeo, SFL Mini GP, RD Racing and Jake Marks out there in BSB, Vet2 Track, Flying Guys Optics, 64-degree Racing, and my girl Leaky at Venom Racing. Listen, people, don't show up to the track with one undersuit. Trust me, we've all been there. We made that mistake. Bring more undersuits than you do socks and underwear. Trust us, you will thank us later. Just listen to what we're telling you. Listen, more undersuits, not one or two. If you're going for 3 days, bring 8. He's laughing. He knows because we've been there, right? So, Ghetto Customs for your custom bodywork, Cars Performance in Pennsylvania, KYT Helmets America. Big shout out to K-Tech Suspension, my man Birch, Kendall, and Dakari. RTR, ready to race in North Carolina. Of course, if you're in Virginia, there's no other dealership you want to go to but Coleman Power Sports. McLeo Escapes Track and Tour. If you ever wanted to ride a MotoGP track, look no further than him. Road Racing World. I need everybody to go to roadracingworld.com, donate, sign up to the Road Racing World Fund. It's imperative that we have those air fences. All the proceeds go to the air fences. If we didn't have them up, Matthew wouldn't be out there doing his track days and racing, nor would anybody else, and we wouldn't be having fun because we're not on the track. We need the air fences, people. Go to roadracingworld.com, sign up, donate. Thank you so much. And if you're lucky and you're there and they actually have the you can go up to Chris Ulrich. Sometimes he has a 2-up ride. You pay a certain amount. It goes to the air fence. You jump on the back of the 1000. He'll show you the proper way around the racetrack, how deep you can brake, how hard you get on the gas, turning the whole 9 with you on the back. enjoy yourself, have fun, right? So, big shout out to STG, Brian Van and Max Van, Dripping Wet, REB Graphics, and GRG Graphics. All these are my friends that have graphics. You're not going to go wrong from ordering from any one of them. V121pro.com, my buddy Mike the Spike Edwards, which is a legend out there in VSB. So anybody overseas in the UK wants to get some proper mega training, look no further than V121pro.com or California Superbike School UK with my buddy Gary. Proper training. You're not going to go wrong either path you take. Racer 411 program, my buddy Ant Lee Terry and tipandracing.com. Hyper Naked Suits. I had the honor to have him on with Jeff Servin not too long ago. Big shout out to Cole King at King Performance. And last but not least, my buddy Obsessing Engineering out there in the UK. So go to his YouTube channel, check him out. He's absolutely amazing. Dave Hewson, he's a legend. Had him on my podcast several times. And yeah, that's enough of me doing this right this second, man. Matt's over there going, damn, dude, is he ever going to stop talking about all these people? When do I get to shine? Matt, the floor is all yours, my friend. Tell everybody where they can find you on all your socials, where they can show you all the love and support, the next track you're going to be at, and when you're going to get some merchant, man, so you can start giving out stickers and hats and T-shirts and all that cool stuff.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to start working on that part. But yeah, I mean, you can find me on Facebook. My group page for racing is Matt Pat Racing. So you can find me there. That's kind of where I try and do all my racing updates. I try and keep the family stuff separate as far as Facebook goes, so that my family page is not just consumed with racing stuff. So yeah, you can find me there and on Instagram. And yeah, I'd like to thank Chuck at Jack Moto for helping me get set up for this Moto America season. He's been hugely helpful. Darwin with NV Racing Apparel got me a airbag suit ready for the season, team shirts. Vortex has always been a huge sponsor of mine for many years. Forma boots as well, and friends, family, anybody that's helped me along the way. I'd like to thank them, and see what we can do this year.
Funny you said that because I just before Bison was coming out with their boots, I knew they were coming out with some, but I didn't know how long it was going to be for the final edition to come out. I had a couple pair of Alpine Star boots, man. I can't help it, dude. The Super Tech R's just suck ass. I'll be the first to say it. I'm not a huge fan of the Super Tech R's with the little booty ooties and all that shit. I had a 9.5. I wear a 10. Got the 9.5. Oh, you need 9.5. That didn't fit me. The booty was bigger than a 9.5, and the boot was just tied around. Man, it felt like my whole freaking toes were like this, right? They're like, oh yeah, we'll send you a 10.5. I said, I wear a 10. I don't want a 10.5. Oh, well, you're fine. This is what you need. I get them. I put them on. I'm like Ronald fucking McDonald in these boots. I'm like, nah, this is absolutely not going to work for me. Sent them back. Ended up getting my money back. Bought me a pair of Formula Flows, the full perforated ones, in a 10, a proper 1-0, a 10, right? Put them on, and it was just like home. They're absolutely amazing buttes, amazing buttes right now, right? They are, one big thing before we get off here, I'd love to say too is that, listen, when you put on a suit and boots, man, it needs to fit you like a glove. That's why we say
Yeah.
fit you like a glove, right? Because if your boots hurt and you're walking around the house, guess what? They're going to hurt when you're muscling and hustling that motorcycle around. And when
Or
you're
when you can't find the shifter, and that's
the
the
rear
biggest thing is,
brake, bro,
yeah,
dude, it's like I'm not having fun. I done missed my shift. I done ran off wide. I done ate shit. I done ruined my brand new $500 KYT helmet or whatever it is. So I'm
yeah,
fucking pissed, dude. So it's imperative. I wish there was a one-stop shop in every state that somebody can go to and they had every fucking manufacturer helmet, different, custom suits there where they can, try to fit something on, helmets, the boots, the whole nine, and gloves too. Cause it's I'm a big gun guy, so conceal carry, right? I'm a big conceal carry, and everybody's like, "Don't be hating on my super tech marks." I'm not hating; they're just not for me, right? It's you buy a gun, you want to conceal carry it. You go to all these. We had the best concealed carry holsters, appendix, waist, blah 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 blah. Dude, you spend $400 or $500. I got so many different holsters to find the right one that suits you, that's the most comfortable, that you can personally deal with, because everybody's different. I'm different than Matthew, different than Mark, different than everybody else, right? Same thing with motorcycle racing gear. Um, it's basically buy it, try it on, send it back, wait, blah blah blah. It's all this, hassle that goes along with it. So yeah, having the right pair of boots, gloves, undersuit, very important. It plays a big part in your riding, how much fun you're gonna have. And if you have something that don't fit you correctly, again, people, not only does it cause arm pump and all this, it takes away this right here. Focusing on this to, oh, my feet hurt, oh, I misshift this, oh, I'm choking because my suit's too big, it's acting like a parachute. But yeah, anyway, Matthew, absolute honor to have you on. Just stay on with me for one more second. I'm gonna get off here. Thanks so much for everybody coming on. Nothing but love. And yeah, stay tuned. I will see you soon. And I'll see you guys at Daytona 2 in a couple weeks. I cannot wait. Matthew, is there anything you want to say before I end this?
See you at Daytona.
You heard it here from the legend himself, Matthew Patacca. Patacca. Damn it. I was close. I was this close. I'll get it right next time. I got it right the first time. The next time I'll get it right. Patacca. Ladies and gentlemen, absolute honor. Sit down with Matthew Patacca. All right, let me end this. You're like, shut up.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.